wonderful evening to all the wonderful people who join us week after week after week. A little on why I got started with this is that I was just inundated and frustrated with the number of COVID related messages I had on my phone last year. So, literally, as a frustrated moment, and as a writer, I think in phrases. So, I just thought, spread cheer, not fear. This phrase kind of floated around, and I thought, okay, let me do something. And WOW has been a community of readers who've been with me for decades, at least 1 decade now, and 30,000 plus thinkers, believers, decision makers, parents, youngsters. So it's a wonderful heterogeneous group that kind of comes together to watch this. A very warm welcome to our wonderful, wonderful guests. Like that today's topic is all about education, how relevant things are going to be, a lot of tips, a lot of anecdotes. I think I have this feeling it's going to be a very beautiful session, and seeing the guests smiling, I'm sure you can imagine too. So let me begin by introducing our guest. A very warm welcome, Ms. Manju. So Ms. Manju Balasubramaniam is the principal of Delhi Public School, Bangalore North. She sees herself as a keen lifelong learner, technology enthusiast, and above all, a passionate teacher. Sachin Ravi is the co-founder of Q Shala, a unique curiosity platform designed to foster essential life skills and curiosity in children through stories, quizzes, and fun. Over the years, Sachin has hosted over 200 quizzes across the country for schools, colleges, and companies. He happens to be amongst the few quizzers who, while in college, has won both the national and international finals of the Tata Crucible quiz in 2012 and 2013 respectively. Education has changed forever in the pandemic. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, is it a good thing, bad thing?
Megha, I think it's been an amazing time in all of the fear and the scare of the pandemic. The one thing that never stopped was learning.
The biggest takeaway that I learned is that when you're engaging with children, say around 30 to 35 children in one class, there tends to be that maybe in a group, there is that one child which is a lot more active, a lot more participative, right? And they're the ones who tend to kind of drown out maybe some of the other children who possibly wanted to say something as well. Just in the confines of a Zoom room like this, right? What we saw a lot happening was that a child who wasn't necessarily very talkative or didn't necessarily feel like sharing immediately orally, they'd send in answers on chat and they'd kind of slowly build a rapport with me or my facilitators and teachers. And that's something that we noticed was smaller groups, smaller classes, a lot more personalization ended up happening and a lot more rapport was built.
If I have to ask you of that one most important learning that you've had through this phase, what would it be for you, Ms. Manju?
Human relations are bottom line. Everything is to do about people and relationships.
What I think I take away is what are the opportunities that in this new normal that you can have for children to showcase themselves, for them to meet their friends. They couldn't leave their rooms, they couldn't meet their friends. I think what was the most incredible thing for school for me, even I remember, is just meeting my friends and meeting and having no agenda, just gupshup and chilling and talking, right? What I take away is what are the ways that kids have been able to showcase and talk and connect and present and keep themselves more engaged beyond just say an academic or a non-academic sort of context was the one thing I take away. A routine that can be created, even if it's for 1 hour a week, where the family is doing something together. I might plug in the family quiz as an option if parents are interested. But apart from that as well, anything that a family is doing together and making it a routine of doing that at least once in a couple of weeks or even week in, week out. That I think is one thing which I've seen a lot of people do and something that's worked for a lot of families.
You made history.
You made history. Wow.
Truly, for a child to want to listen to something, I think there has to be a buy-in that the child has. And I've noticed that if the child does not have context, the attention spans, in fact, with this generation, it's almost instantaneous where they switch off, which is why, like ma'am said, there's the next tab that's open and their attention is somewhere else, right? So I'm trying to ask myself, can there be a system where the context that a child needs to have on why something is important to know, if it's built and if it's personally built for the child and the context of that, that is a sort of world I believe that there's going to be a lot of efficacy for the child wanting to learn something, for them to find out why it's interesting to know something. And I think the concept of ikigai, right, which I personally resonate with, which is finding something that you like to do, that you're good at, and that you get paid to do. The immediate thing that strikes to my mind is, I think, smile. I think come what may, I think have an attitude to smile through things. It's, I don't know how easy or how hard it's going to get for anybody really, and we have different things that go on. So as much as possible, try to smile through things, I think is my takeaway. And I think I was doing this through the entire call as well, but that's what I would.